Thank you for listening to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast, available on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. Also, please follow Matt's Movie Reviews on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, Instagram, and MeWe. And of course, be sure to visit mattsmoviereviews.net for the latest reviews, top 10 lists, and more. Now, on to the show.
Kate Fisher?
Hey, Kate, are you okay? Hey. Oh, no.
Today we are paying tribute to Anna Farmer, a beloved daughter, a loving mother.
This is unbearable.
She wanted you to have this.
We never got to see those lights in Palmer Cathedral, but you still can. 2nd of Feb, 9 a.m.
That's in 5 days.
Why she left us 4 tickets? She wants us to go back.
Colin Bateman, 9 Inches. I'm reading a book called 9 Inches by Colin Bateman. I'm Dan.
Oh. Anna loved Blondie.
The trainee's broken.
Oh my God, it can't be! We'll never make it in time.
Don't worry, we'll find a way.
She's having a baby to go in.
You can do this, Cassie.
This is not on my bucket list.
Of the 32 symptoms of menopause, I have 34.
To the English ladies and the beautiful American.
Somebody's happy.
I've been trying to make American pancakes.
Inedible. Imagine what we're all going to be like when we see the lights at Palmer. I need a pastry and a lie down.
We are about to steal a boat.
I am an American citizen.
We've lost Maddie.
I won't lose her. Jesus.
Anyone order a midlife crisis?
It's nearly 9. Quick! Cannot miss it this time. She thought the world of you. There's so much out there.
Then let's go and get it.
Hello and welcome to the Matt's Movie Reviews podcast. I am your host, Matthew Pejkovic, and this is episode number 392. Releasing across North America on December 10 on digital and video on demand is Off the Rails, a comedic drama that tells the story of 3 50-something women who recreate their interrailing adventure across Europe in honor of their close friend who passed away. Featuring a terrific cast including Sadie Phillips, Judi Dench, and the late, great Kelly Preston. Off the Rails also marks a feature film directorial debut of Jules Williamson. I'm glad to say he joins me now on the podcast. Jules, I thank you so very much for your time today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And, reading up just about this movie, Off the Rails, it was inspired from what I read from a interrailing trip that you and your friends had when you were, I believe, 19 years old. I'm just curious, what was it about that time, that trip, that really stayed with you to such an extent that it formed the basis for the movie that I just watched only a couple of nights ago?
Well, I thought we had promised each other, you see, when we were 19 that we would do this interrail journey again. And we kind of went in different directions, even though we were still very close. We all had different lives, we had different priorities. And so I could see as we were in our mid-30s that it was unlikely we would do this. And at the same time, I was thinking, like many people do, a little bit, is this actually exactly where I wanted to be as I approached 40 or I'm in my mid-30s? And that the song that we used to dance to a lot, every night, in fact, when we were in the Greek part of our interrail, in a very cool bar, we used to dance every night to Once in a Lifetime, Talking Heads.
Yes.
And that line, which everybody knows, about waking up in the morning and asking yourself, how did I get here? It really kept going round in my head. And I thought, how interesting if these women, not the same as characters as my friends, they're obviously made up characters, but what would happen if they did the same journey and their lives had gone off track? They weren't the lives that they'd wanted and hoped for and talked about when they were 19 on this journey. And they'd actually become estranged from each other as well. But they were forced to go on this journey by one of the friends who died. It was her quest that she gave them because she realized that, they were kind of floundering with their lives and that she wanted them to get back on track and to find a new beginning for themselves. And so this was at a time where I was making my first short film, Tattoo, and it was nominated for a BAFTA and it won the Palm Springs Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very exciting, and I was asked to meetings and I talked about this film, but the response was cautious because there was no evidence that a film about women in midlife would make money, and people didn't really quite get, they liked the idea, but they were not going to take a risk. So it was very frustrating, and it was mainly, an industry led by men. So I think as time went on and films like Mamma Mia and films like Bridesmaids did well commercially, although Bridesmaids is a slightly younger demographic,
Yes.
and films like Blue Jasmine were very successful. Obviously, that was an award winner. And Kate Blanchett gave her rallying cry in her Oscar acceptance speech about the industry waking up to the fact that films about women made money. And of course, women want to see themselves on screen. They want to see their stories being told. So I decided, this was the time to revisit this idea and to try and get it made.
Helping you get the film made was Jordan Waller. He did the screenplay for the movie. He's a very interesting young man. How did he get involved with the film?
Bill asked him to write the script, and he's very witty. He's very funny. And he's much wittier than I am. And so, he was an absolute joy to work with. He was wonderful. So he'd written a play which was in the West End, which was based on his own life.
Yes.
And it was about being brought up by two women who had obviously had a massive influence on him. And so he really got older women, and he's a very old head on a very young man. And so, having met him, it seems actually a sort of perfect foil to me, really. And I think we all work very successfully together.
I mentioned the cast in my introduction. The film also has Jenny Seagrove, mentioned Judi Dench, Sally Phillips, Kelly Preston, Elizabeth Dormer Phillips, who's almost kind of new. She's done some TV, but this is her feature film debut as well. One thing that I really took from the film is the camaraderie between the cast is just so strong. This looks like a fun movie to make. In every movie, of course, there is difficulties because, filming a movie, there's stakes involved, etc. But this looks like a fun movie to make. Was the camaraderie that was just pouring off the screen, that infectious fun, was that something that was really evident as well while filming the movie?
Yeah, it was completely real. Wonderful. It was, we were like a gang, really, me and the actresses, but also one of the producers, Arabella Page Croft. And we still have a WhatsApp group. We still, are in contact with each other all the time. Which is, quite a legacy. But I think, the actresses bonded very quickly. and they had an extraordinary connection between them. And so that was the first thing. And the second thing was they knew it was based on my life, and they were very interested in that. They really liked that. And I trained as an actress myself. I went to drama school for 3 years, and I did some acting, and then I'd worked in documentaries as well. So those two things were very important in the style of directing that I brought to it. And I wanted them to be kind of given some freedom to play and to be real, and to allow that real friendship to spill onto the screen. So that's very much the kind of gang that we were. But then also the crew were so close. You know, we were like a very close family. And interestingly, I was in Mallorca recently. We won an award at the film festival, Evolution Film Festival, which is fabulous. And we had a special screening for the crew, and they were saying, the Mallorcan crew was saying how much they loved it and how special it was to them, because they loved the story, and they loved the fact that it was based on a true story in my life. And secondly, that, you know, there were no sort of barriers between us, certainly me and them. And they're used to working on films. I've had a lot of American films that go there, which are, you know, the director is very much, sorry about that.
That's okay.
You know, the director is quite removed, but that's just not the way I operate. You know, we're just a big family all together. So that was important. And then the fact we were filming so fast, we filmed 38 locations in 26 days.
Wow.
Across 4 countries. So, you know, we really needed to be a well-oiled machine, which we were. And I think that the closeness of the cast and the closeness of the crew and the kind of lack of barriers between the crew and the cast meant that we were working, you know, very efficiently together, as well as it being it was a joyful experience. And we laughed so much and we cried a lot, you know. Well, I certainly cried a lot because I was seeing, you know, all this material that I'd had in my head for years. And, you know, it was important to me as well because I'd lost my friend and it's a tribute to her. And, you know, the idea was very personal to me. So to actually see it on screen, seeing them realise it, as we did in particular scenes, was just remarkable, actually.
The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by 80s Tees. 80s Tees is an online retailer of licensed t-shirts and pop culture gear from your favourite movies, TV shows, cartoons, video games, comic books, and musicians. Celebrate your inner 80s nerd and click on the link in the show notes below to get the raddest retro t-shirts delivered to your door. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is brought to you by Loot Crate. Founded in 2012, Loot Crate is the worldwide leader in fan subscription boxes. Loot Crate partners with industry leaders in entertainment, gaming, sports, and pop culture to deliver monthly themed crates, produce interactive experiences in digital content, and film original video productions. No matter what you geek out about, Loot Crate has a subscription box for you. To get your very own exclusive collectibles, apparel, and gear delivered to your door, be sure to click on the link in the show notes below. The Matt's Movie Reviews podcast is also brought to you by Vudu. Watch the latest movies and TV shows anytime, anywhere. No subscriptions, no contract. Enjoy stunning quality in up to 4K ultra high definition at home and download and watch on your mobile device as well. To rent and buy from over 100,000 titles or watch thousands of movies free with Vudu Movies on us, be sure to click on the link in the show notes below. Now, back to the show. You know, you mentioned before during your own trip when you were at the age of 19 that you and your friends were dancing to Talking Heads. A big part of the film is the soundtrack, especially with the songs from Blondie. And Blondie has a special place in my heart. My older sister was a diehard Debbie Harry fan, to the point where she pretty much changed her look to look like Debbie Harry, which I'm sure a lot of teenage girls did back in late 70s, early 80s. How did Blondie become such a big part of this story? Was Blondie something that was a big part of your life as well growing up?
Yes. So I was, I didn't change what I looked like particularly, but, like your sister and lots of other girls of my age when Blondie was first on the scene, we're just blown away by Debbie Harry. I mean, I'd never seen anything like her. And, she was, I sort of aspired to be like her. And, I was never remotely as cool as that. But, I thought she was amazing. And so I loved Blondie and I loved Debbie Harry. And I wanted Anna to have wanted to be Debbie Harry. And so that became part of the story. And also I was very influenced by The Big Chill, which I loved and got all my Interrail friends to watch when I first discovered it. And obviously the iconic soundtrack is a massive part of that film. And music's always been really important to me, hugely important in everything I've done. And so when I met Bill Kenwright for the first time, Arabella introduced me to him, Arabella, the other producer, and she also loved the music and loves The Big Chill. And Bill turned out to be a massive fan of The Big Chill. And then as we were about to start filming, because he loves music, he talked to me about the soundtrack and said, what about a Blondie soundtrack? So I was, one of those moments I'll never forget. I was absolutely blown away by the idea that we were going to have a film, and it was the whole soundtrack was going to be Blondie.
There's a lot of ways you can describe the journey that these characters go through in your movie. I think a word that struck with me was pilgrimage, especially considering that this journey ends in this cathedral in Palma, which is in Mallorca, which I believe is in Spain. Is that correct?
It is, yes.
And the interesting thing about this place is that twice a year, I think it's in February, November, there's like this phenomenon that happens where the cathedral kind of lights up with natural light. And that's kind of like the whole point of why these characters are there, because the message from the start of the film from their friends says that they want all these people to be together at the same time when this natural event occurs. That cathedral itself, is that something that you came across in your travels? Is that how you knew about it? If not, how did that kind of cathedral kind of become part of this journey with these characters?
Well, when we were deciding on it wasn't me who decided on the budget. When the producers were discussing the budget, it occurred to me that Mallorca could stand in for, well, obviously Spain, but also Paris and Italy. And it seemed to, suddenly make the budget work. And we went on a recce. I'd already spoken to Palma Pictures, who are the production company we work with out there, and said, what do you think? And they said, oh yeah, no, we've done this before. We can cover those countries, and we can stand in for those countries. So we went on the recce, and when we were there, Trent, who was one of the people in charge at Palma Pictures, spoke to Sarah Sullick, one of the producers, and told her about the Light of God Festival. And so we discussed the idea of this becoming the finale, if you like, the end point, their destination. But I love the fact you use the word pilgrimage, because I kind of wanted a slightly spiritual aspect to the film. And, I'm not specifically religious. My friend Emma was. And, we all have our own take on spirituality, don't we? So whatever that might be, but it made a lot of sense to me. And I was really, really excited about it. I felt that we'd found this really, really special focus for the film, and that it kind of seemed to make sense of everything. It was I've sort of forgotten until we're talking about it now how how excited I was about it, and sort of, so I think it's been brilliant that we've been able to do that. But the journey is a kind of pilgrimage. Obviously, it's a pilgrimage for Anna, but it's also their own pilgrimage, isn't it? And I think people go on pilgrimages to rediscover who they are and what they want from their lives.
Final question. This movie is dedicated for Kelly Preston. The last words of the film is for Kelly. This was her last performance. She's one of those actors that, for a lot of people, my generation included, we grew up watching her on the screen. Actually, only a month or so ago, I was watching a movie and there she was, just on the screen, in one of her earlier roles. What was it like working with Kelly? And what does it feel like knowing that her final performance, and such a beautiful performance it was in your movie?
It was an extraordinary experience working with her, and I loved working with all the actresses, and it was a very enriching experience to have spent that time collaborating with them and being part of their gang and having that time together in such a unique filming experience as well. But she was really a very, very special woman. And I don't say that because she's passed. I felt that and thought that when I was getting to know her and when I was working with her. And she had so much joy in life and living, and brought so much fun to every day, and had so much charisma. She kind of lit the room up. One of those people who literally lights the room up when she came on set and walked into a room. And very few people I've ever met who can do that. So she had that quality about her, which is obviously what made her a movie star. And you can't learn that or buy that. You just have it, and she had it. So it felt kind of, very, I felt very fortunate to work with somebody like that. But she was also very open. She had a very open heart, a very generous heart. And she was very loving. And I always felt, to everybody, the crew absolutely adored her. And she had so much fun with them. And we had so much fun with her. And she made, every day like a sort of party atmosphere. But what I love about her performance is she also brings so much depth of emotion. Mm-hmm. And obviously the film story has so much resonance with her and her own experience and what happened to her. And I didn't know she was ill until she passed. So it was, for all of us, heart-wrenching, just heartbreaking. And it has been difficult to, release the film in the UK. And obviously now in North America, without her being part of that, it's really hard. And I think audiences will find it a very emotional experience watching her in it. But what I would say is I think that it's a fantastic celebration of Kelly and the actress that she is. And I know that that's what she would want. She would want this film to be a celebration of her. And I think that's how everybody must see it, because she really was something else.
So for everyone out there listening, Off the Rails releasing December 10 across North America on digital and video on demand. Jules Williamson, I thank you so very much for your time today. Congratulations on your feature film debut, and hopefully we can talk again in the future. I can't wait to see more movies from you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content. Also, if you would like to request a review and support my work, please join my Patreon via the link in the description below.